You know, when I was sitting in my corporate job, commuting, meetings, deadlines, the whole routine, I used to have this dream, not a someday maybe dream, a full on detailed what if dream. What if I just left? What if I loaded up an RV and just went? What if the whole country was my backyard? I called it my wildest dream because that's what it felt like back then. Wild, impossible even. The kind of dream you tuck away because life is busy and responsible, and you have a mortgage and a career and all the reasons in the world to stay put. Well, friends, here I am. I'm back on the road for 2026, and this year is shaping up to be something I could not have scripted even in my best daydreams. We're talking 9,000 miles, 17 national parks, and a solo female traveler just figuring it out one day at a time. Last week, I gave my email subscribers 2 choices for this video, and you voted loud and clear. You want to come along from the ride from the very beginning. So that's exactly what we're doing today. I'm taking you back to week 1, Florida to Texas. 1,200 miles over 5 days. Whether you're out here on the road or following along from your couch, this one's for you. You are going to want to come along for the ride. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't always graceful, but it was good. Really, really good. And if you're not on my email list yet, that's exactly where you want to be. My subscribers get first access to everything. They shape the direction of this channel. They hear from me between videos, and they're the first to know what's coming next. The link to join is in the description below. It takes about 10 seconds, and I would love to have you there. There's something about that first morning back on the road. The rig is loaded, the coffee is hot, and everything ahead of you is possibility. I pulled out of Florida with a mix of excitement and that little flutter of nerves that I've learned to just befriend at this point. It's part of the deal when you're doing this solo. No one to look over at, no one to say we've got this. You just take a breath, put it in drive, and go. And honestly, that moment, just me and the open road, felt like coming home. My first destination was Bainbridge, Georgia, and specifically the East Bank Campground, which is an Army Corps of Engineer park. Now, if you're not already on the Army Corps of Engineers radar, we need to talk, because this was my very first day with them. And let me tell you, I was impressed. I had a view of the lake, a beautiful, peaceful, actual lake view right from my site. Not a view of the site next to me, not a parking lot with a tree, a genuine lake view. The kind where you pour a glass of something, sit outside, and just watch the water. And this is important, free laundry. It was only one washer and dryer, but free laundry. As an RVer, you learn very quickly that laundry is a love language. I did a full load, watched the sunset over the lake, and felt my shoulders drop about 3 inches. Day 1, off to a wonderful start. The drive had been manageable. I was getting my road legs back under me, though I did get my first taste of what would become a reoccurring theme on this trip: finding diesel. Now, this sounds simple. It is not simple. I'm pulling a 29-foot RV plus a tow dolly plus my Jeep. That's over 40 feet of rig total. You cannot just pull into any gas station. You have to think about the turning radius, the overhead clearance, whether there's actually room to maneuver back out. And then, if you find a place that fits, you have to hope the pump actually works, or that it doesn't dispense diesel 1 gallon per minute, because I need 40 gallons. Nobody has time for that math. I stopped at 2 gas stations before I found one that worked. I'd like to tell you it got easier. I will not be telling you that. And can we talk about the time zones for a second? My first night in Bainbridge, my phone was convinced I was in a different time zone than the campground. The campground won that argument. And on day 2, I spent 15 minutes in and out of time zones so fast that my phone completely lost the plot. I mean, completely. It actually jumped me ahead an hour instead of behind. I was living in the future for about 15 minutes somewhere in Mississippi. I don't recommend it. That evening, sitting by the water, though, I thought, yes, this is why I do this. Day 2 took me into Mississippi, and this is where the fog and rain showed up, the entire drive. I wish I could tell you the scenery was beautiful, but I couldn't see a thing. In fact, at one point, I pulled into a rest stop just to escape the storm and collect myself. And I wish I could share some of that footage with you, but I lost the footage because I was too busy surviving that day and honestly too tired to care when I got where I was going. Despite the weather, I made it to one of my favorite kinds of overnight stops, an RV overnights location. This one was the Shed Barbecue on the Mississippi Bayou. Oh, and I found diesel that day. It only took me 3 stops. We're calling that a win. If you're not familiar with RV Overnights, it's a membership program that lets you stay overnight at restaurants, breweries, farms, and unique spots like this one, in exchange for being a good guest and supporting the business. And this place, right on the bayou, the kind of spot that feels like it has stories soaked into the walls. I had dinner, soaked up the atmosphere, and fell asleep to the sounds of the Mississippi. I mean, come on. Day 3 brought me into Louisiana, Broussard, Louisiana specifically, and a Harvest Host gem. RV Overnights is one membership program in my toolkit, Harvest Host is another. Wineries, breweries, farms, and unique properties where you can stay overnight as a guest of the host. This stop was Denbeaux, Atelier, a Galerie, an antiquity shop that I can only describe as a charming trip back in time. Walking through, you get the sense that every piece has a story. Furniture, art, objects that have lived whole lives before landing here. There's a particular kind of quiet in a place like that. You slow down without meaning to. You find yourself picking things up, turning them over, wondering about the hands that made them or the homes they came from. I could have spent hours in there. But the real magic, the hosts. Before I pulled out the next morning, the hostess actually came out to my rig and brought me a homemade breakfast sandwich. Brought it out to me. Warm, delicious, made with care like I custom ordered it. I'm not going to pretend I didn't get a little emotional about it. When you're out here solo, those small acts of genuine human kindness land somewhere deep. It's not just the sandwich. It's someone seeing you and saying you matter. Have a good journey. I thought about that sandwich and the kindness of the hostess all day. Day 4, Texas brought the wind. I'm not talking about a nice breeze. I'm talking about 30-mile-per-hour gusts that get under your rig and remind you very quickly who's in charge. I've learned to use the Weather on the Way app exactly for this reason. It gives you a breakdown of wind conditions along your entire route, not just at your destination. That app earned its keep this trip. If you're driving anything with any kind of profile, and an RV definitely has a profile, get familiar with this app. I was aware of what I was up against and when the winds would slow down, and I was ready for it. I crossed into the Lone Star State and headed for Twisted Pines Winery in Marshall, Texas, another Harvest Host day. And this one was something else entirely. The property sits on a beautiful lake and is huge, peaceful in that wide open Texas way where you feel the space all around you. I ordered a pizza, poured a glass of wine, and just exhaled. This was also my first experience with a Texas gate. I had seen them on TV and imagined something pretty utilitarian. What I got was this magnificent, rusty, red ranch gate at golden hour that made me stop and just take it in for a minute. Willie agreed it was worth a look. Very on brand for Texas. Go big, look gorgeous, and let the sunset do the rest. I got the same feeling that I do every time I drive under that Disney World sign. Yep, I'm definitely not in Florida anymore. Do you notice a theme developing with my stops? Beautiful water views and a place to get dinner. I apparently have a type, and I'm not sorry about it. That night was the coldest I have ever spent in this rig. Boondocking in below freezing temperatures is a whole different animal. You're thinking about your water lines, your battery, your heat source. I ran my small space heater to stay warm and keep the rig comfortable. And I'll be honest, I drained my solar lithium batteries down to about 40% after coffee and completely depleted my EcoFlow battery bank, lower than I'd ever want to go. But I knew full hookups were waiting at the next stop. Preparation out here is not optional. Every decision you make before you leave home matters when you're sitting alone in below freezing temperatures somewhere in East Texas. Day 5. Look at this view. Willie is pulling on me, so I apologize for the jerkiness. but I'm just taking Willie out before we start on the last leg of our journey to another place in Texas. Look at all this wide openness. Oh, Willie, Willie. Oh, I could wake up to this every day. But look at this. Beautiful. I'll go around this way if I can. There we go. So this is the view. Nice place to walk the dog. At night, they shut the gate. Told us how to get out, but the gate was shut. It was safe, and I really like Harvest Host because I know that if something happens and I had an issue today, I'm in a place where I could still call people for help, which isn't going to happen. We've been just fine. But having that peace of mind as a 55, 60 plus solo traveler really means a lot to me. And when you're traveling on your own every day, a lot of times you don't have that interaction with people. So having someone to have a glass of wine with or talk about their business with for an hour is just a nice way to end the day, and you don't feel so isolated. One more 2-hour trip and I'll be in Texas for 2 weeks total, 2 different places, one more longer travel day at the end of the 2 weeks, but not like the past 5 days. Now, I want to be real here with you for a second because this channel has always been about the honest version of this life, not the highlight reel. The roads were rough. Bumpy doesn't quite cover it on some stretches of this route. Every bump you feel in a car is multiplied significantly when you're hauling a home behind you. Things shift, things rattle, and you spend real mental energy just monitoring everything. Gauges, noises, smells. That's real. Then there was the diesel, every single day. Stopping at 2 or 3 places a day just to find a pump that worked properly to fuel up, it tests your patience. Fog and rain on day 2, wind and below freezing cold on day 4, time zones that had my phone arguing with reality for 2 straight days. And doing all of it solo means every decision, every problem, every calculation is yours. There's no co-pilot to hand the map to. No one else to run inside and pay for the fuel while you stay with the rig. But here's what I want you to hear. It was relaxing, genuinely. I know that might sound crazy. 5 days of long driving days, weather challenges, diesel hunts, time zone confusion, solo decision making, and I'm telling you, it was relaxing. Because when you're out here, you are present. You're not fragmented across 17 obligations. You're not half thinking about tomorrow's meeting while you're supposed to be living today. You're just here, moving through the world, meeting people, seeing things, solving small problems, and celebrating small wins. That simplicity, even when it's hard, is its own kind of rest. And I think that's something a lot of people are hungry for. Day 5, I rolled into my Texas campground for the next week, with 1,200 miles behind me, a handful of beautiful memories, and some genuinely wonderful people tucked into my heart, and a deep sense that this year is going to be something special I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. There's a version of me that used to sit at a desk and wonder if this was even possible. I want her to hear this. Whether you're dreaming about a life like this, already living it, or just need a reminder that the thing that feels impossible sometimes just needs a first step and a full tank of diesel. Eventually, 9,000 miles, 17 national parks, and we are just getting started. If you want to follow along for all of it, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you're on my email list, because that's where my subscribers get first say in where this story goes next. The link is in the description. Next week, we keep going, and I'll see you then. Thanks for coming along with me on the ride.